Hello everyone, welcome to a very important LICD lecture 14E. So here today we will be discussing inverting Schmidt trigger. Basically we are analyzing this Schmidt trigger circuit with numbers. So that's slightly different than the normal teaching style. So we have already started with comparators. With that we have started the non-inverting applications of op-amp. So this concept is of inverting Schmidt trigger, or we can call it op-amp with positive feedback. Okay, so to the left hand side of your screen, this is my circuit diagram. So we have applied, let me just describe it here also little bit. Okay, okay, yeah. So this is my inverting Schmidt trigger basically. So my input is applied to the inverting terminal, and the feedback is a positive feedback because we have taken the part of the input and connected back to the output, fed back to the output via the non-inverting terminal. So your V plus is this. So V plus we can write in terms of V out very easily, and we have a resistors R1 and R2 connected as a potential divider, and op-amp is powered with plus or minus VCC and VE. Now, if VCC and VE are plus or minus 17, let's say, so normally we consider plus or minus VSAT at 90% of VCC. So it will come out to be nearly plus or minus VSAT will be nearly equal to plus or minus 15. And for our analysis, we have considered that R1 is equal to R2 is equal to 10 kilo ohm. So these are the considerations we have which we have considered for this analysis of inverting Schmidt trigger with numbers. So let us start. Yeah. So we assume that R1 is equal to R2 is equal to 10K. So and plus or minus VSAT is plus or minus 15 volts. So this is our step number 1. Okay. Now remember V in can be a sine wave or can be a output of a sensor, which is varying with time. It's a time varying quantity basically. So let's consider it to be a sine wave. Now sine wave always starts from 0. So that's what we have written over here. When V in is at 0 volts, that means V minus will be at 0. The output will be at plus VSAT. Now let us see how. So here V plus is what? So you can write V plus over here. You can see this part. So you can write V plus in terms of V out as follows. So it is a voltage divider network. So V plus will be R1 upon R1 plus R2 into V out. And what is your V out? Basically, I mean, we have considered R1 and R2 same. So what will be the expression of V plus in terms of V out? So here we have written R1 and R2 are same. So this will become half 10 upon 20. So that V plus will become V out divided by 2. And what is a V out? Basically, V out is your VSAT, positive VSAT. So positive VSAT we have considered to be 15. So V plus will be 15 by 2, that is 7.5. So over here we have got V plus as 7.5 and V in as 0. Now V in is basically V minus. So your definitely V plus is greater than V minus. Hence we can say that the output is at positive saturation level. Hence the output is at plus 15 volts. This scenario. So when V in is 0 volt, my output is at plus 15. Now let us do one thing. Let us say that the input V in is going more and more negative. So whenever input is going more and more negative, that means V minus is going more and more negative. It doesn't make a difference to this equation. So basically, will the output state change? Definitely no. The output will stay at plus 15 because V plus is still greater than V minus. We are just making V minus as more negative. That will not solve the purpose. The output is still at plus 15 or plus VSAT. Now, let's say that V in from 0 it rises to 1 and goes to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So V in is a sinusoidal wave. It will definitely go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So until it reaches 7, will the output state change still? Well, no. Why? Because still this equation holds. V plus is still greater than V minus. Because this is V plus is 7.5. So unless V minus is greater than 7.5, the output will continue to stay at plus 15 volts. Okay. So next we'll go into case number 5. So what does this mean is, let's say that V in from 7 volts goes to 7.4 volts. Will the output state change? No. It will remain at plus 15. Why? because still my V plus is greater than V minus. As you can see, even though the difference between them is very, very small, actually the output expression of op amp here is given by V out is equal to AOL times V plus minus V minus. Even though the difference between V plus and V minus is 0.1, the gain is tremendously high. So gain over here is 2 into 10 raised to 5. So immediately the output will go into positive saturation. So as long as V plus is greater than V minus, the output will remain at plus 15 volts. Now let's consider a scenario number 6. For here, my input is now increased to 7.6 volts. So whenever this happens, will my output state change? Yes. Now why it will change? V out is twice into 10 raised to 5, that is AOL times V plus minus V minus, that will come out to be minus 0.1. Immediately, this you have a huge number and you have a multiplication with a very huge gain. So immediately my output switches and becomes minus 15 immediately. So right now, whenever input becomes greater than 7.5, that is here it is 7.6, my output state changes and it becomes minus 15 now, minus VSAT. So at the same time, the moment the output goes to minus 15, remember V plus is V out by 2, right? So since V out has now become minus 15, V plus also will become minus 15 volts. This is very, very important concept. So right now, earlier V plus was plus 7.5, now it is minus 7.5. So the question is, what will happen next? So now let's consider that even if V in will loiter around 7.5, from 7.6 it becomes 7.5 or 7.4, or it becomes 7.6 or greater than that due to noise. Will the output change? No, no problem at all. The output will still remain at minus 15. Why? Because output change the state, what should happen? It should be that, I mean, for output to change the state, your V plus is right now it's minus 7.5, right? And V plus minus of V minus is less than 0. Even if V minus, that is V in, goes to 7.5, 7.4, 7.7, 7.2, it won't change the state. When the state will change? When V minus is less than this minus 7.5. Correct. Now it is greater, so it won't change the state. So as long as V plus is less than V minus, output will stay at negative saturation level. So this means that small changes in V aren't going to affect the output at all, and that's the biggest advantage of Schmidt trigger. Now this was scenario number 8. Let's go to scenario number 9. Okay, so let's continue analysis with numbers. Now let's consider that V in is dropping from 7.5. Remember last it was 7.6, now it is dropping to 7.5. It goes to 5, 1, 0, and then it goes to negative values. Remember it's a sine wave, so it will take negative values also. Minus 1, minus 3, minus 5, minus 7. Till minus 7, right? Now V in is actually V minus. So V minus is going up till minus 7. Will the output state change? No. Why? The output state will remain at minus 15 because still V plus is less than V minus. So your minus 7.5 is less than minus 7. So that is true. So my output state will remain the same. That is minus 15. Now let's say in a scenario number 10, my V in becomes minus 7.5. Will the output state change? Yes. Because now what will happen is V out is AOL into V plus minus V minus. So this V plus is minus 7.5 and V minus is minus 7.5. So this V out will become a positive number, which is multiplied with a huge open loop gain. So my output will immediately switch to plus 15 volts since my V plus is greater than V minus. And my new output value will be going to plus 15 volts. And again, the moment the output goes to plus 15, my V plus again becomes 7.5. Okay, so my new value of V plus is 7.5 now, and we are back to the start. So again, the output will continue to remain at plus 15 until V in becomes greater than 7.5 volts again, and the similar process will go on. Okay, so this entirely is my working of my inverting Schmidt trigger. So this was my circuit. I've already given that on the left hand side is static screen. This circuit is already ready. Throughout the analysis, you must have seen this. Now, actually, it's like a memory memory state. So this quit trigger is trying to remember that what was the input it was holding in the past. So this is my state number one. This is my state number two. So state number one is output is at plus VSAT or plus 15, and V plus is at 7.5 volts. And in order for it to change, in order to go from state 1 to state 2 is V out equal to minus 15 and V plus is equal to minus 7.5. So in order to go from state 1 to state 2, my V in has to be greater than 7.5 volts. Then only the output switches. So this is one state. The next state is when the output is at minus 15, for it to become plus 15, that is for the state 2 to become state 1, V in has to be lesser than minus 7.5 volts. So this trigger has two states, that is state number 1 and state number 2. So basically this circuit will try to remember what was the previous value of V in, whether V in is greater than 7.5 or it is less than minus 7.5. Only then this Smith trigger will react. So we can have a memory in the system. How? Initially, when the system is in state 1, V out was plus 15 and V plus was 7.5. It remembers this state. It remembers the fact that V in was gone below 7.5, and system will not change the state until V in goes above the 7.5. So it remembers this fact. That's why we call it. It has a memory. So now let us concrete this fact by the concept of hysteresis. Now this hysteresis concept is something like this. The entire working of my Smith trigger can be summarized in this circuit. Let me just little bit maximize this. Let me make it 20. Yeah. Now we can concentrate over here a little. Okay. Now entire summary with numbers we can concentrate now. Yeah. So let me just decrease this a little. Okay, now it's fine. So what is this hysteresis concept? Hysteresis is my voltage transfer characteristics of my Smith trigger. So basically this is a graph of V in versus V out. Okay, so let us start. When V in was 0, we got that output is at plus V sat. So that is very, very clear. So this line, right? And whenever V in will stay at plus 15 until V in becomes greater than 7.5 volts. So whenever V in is less than 7.5, it will remain at plus VSAT or we have plus 15 volts. And as soon as V in becomes greater than 7.5, it will immediately switch to minus 15. V out will be minus 15 volts. Similarly, the V out will remain at minus 15 over here. So we are going from here, follow the pattern. We are going from here and here. And now again, when V in becomes immediately minus 15 volts, it will remain at minus 15 until V in becomes less than minus 7.5 volts. So you're following? We are going by this trend. You can see over here. And again, whenever V in becomes less than minus 7.5, the output switches back to 15 volts. Okay. So let me just go through it. So this is my comparator with a positive feedback, correct? And basically this is comparing my V plus and V minus. So basically V plus is your V in and my V minus is V out by 2. So circuit has some hysteresis in that it remembers what inputs were in the past, and output depends upon the sequence of the input that we are applying. So that is the meaning of this hysteresis curve. It's like, it's holding a memory of its previous input. So hysteresis or memory property of Smith trigger. Why hysteresis is so useful? So hysteresis prevents the false triggering of the output due to the noisy input signal. So let's say that noise enters the system and it corrupts the input signal. Now, as long as the input signal is confined with this range, that is between 7.5 and minus 7.5, the input will not reflect the output change at all. Between this value, this is called as deadband region. Between 7.5 and minus 7.5 is called as deadband region, or is called as the hysteresis width. Between this region, whenever the input is falling in this range, the output state is locked. Basically, it either is at plus VSAT or minus VSAT. Okay, so that's why hysteresis curve are so useful. Now let's get back to the working in terms of input-output waveforms. So let me just decrease this a little. Let me just increase this to 15. Oh, I meant 15. Yeah. So these are my input output waveforms with respect to time for inverting Schmidt trigger. Now it's very evident we can entirely describe our working in this manner also. So for the first case, when V in was 0, output is at plus 15. V in becomes, as soon as the V in becomes greater than 7.5, output switches from plus 15 to minus 15. Yes, that's what we have observed with working with numbers. And then the next time, whenever the input falls below this minus 7.5, again the output change from minus 15 to plus 15. And again, the next time the input goes above 7.5, my output again changes from plus 15 to minus 15, and the cycle will continue. So this is very important concept of a Schmidt trigger circuit. So we have almost completed. Let me see if anything is left out. Yeah. So we have almost completed all the concepts related to the inverting Schmidt trigger. Now what we'll have is we will have a short description on the LT-SPICE simulation. So we'll verify these numbers in LT-SPICE. So let us start. Okay, so here is a reflection spot. Whatever concepts we have learned today, we'll verify by building the circuit schematic in LT-SPICE and capture the information of the theoretical values with the simulated values. So basically, we will verify mostly this input-output waveforms and the output and the hysteresis curve. So let us start building the circuit. So already the circuit is built up for your reference. Let me just reduce its amplitude little bit. Okay, so this was my circuit diagram which we have built up here. You can see clearly it's the same one. The circuit diagram to your left hand side in the PDF, OneNote PDF is same as on the right hand side over here. So here we are using op-amp OP07, which is powered with plus or minus 16 volts. Because here we have considered that plus or minus VSAT should be plus 15. That's why we have considered VCC and VE as 16 volts. Input is 10 volts peak with a frequency of 100 hertz. And these are my R1 and R2 of 10 kilo ohms each. So let us check the output now. Input output waveforms. So I will plot V in over here, correct? And then I'll in this waveform only I'll plot V out. Okay, here it is. Now let us check with this results whether they are in line with the results which we have discussed in the theory. Okay, let me reduce this a little. Okay, so yeah, let us analyze these results. So basically, whenever this red, this input is cutting the output, this is basically my V. That should be close to 7.5. Let us check that. So this value is somewhere around close to. Let us check that over here. Okay, I guess I have to check with this. Okay, so this is so close to 7.64. That's understandable. It's close to 7.5. That's not. That's absolutely fine. The reason being is that these lines are not slant. As you can see, they have a slight slope. So that's why the accuracy will be of 0.1 volt. And how will I verify this minus 7.5 and whether it is cutting minus 7.5? So here you can see if it is cutting this point, then only the output state is triggering. And when it is cutting this minus 7.5, then only the output state changes. So here it is almost, let me cross check this. So here also we are getting 7.68 something, 7.68 or 67. So this is the value of, the lower threshold point, that is minus 7.5. So your input output waveforms are perfectly fine. No problem with it all. Now let us check the hysteresis curve. For hysteresis curve, we have to change the x-axis. So right click on the x-axis. And over here we can have to write V of V in, because it's a plot of V in versus V out. Okay, let me remove this. So this is what the plot is. This is the hysteresis curve which we are getting. Let us cross check in the PDF. Yeah, as you can see, it is the exact replica of what we have seen over here in the theory. So this was close to 15. Let us check that. Yeah, it is 15 minus 15 point, here it is plus 15.0, and down it is minus 15.0, as you can see very, very clearly. So these are the values which we are getting perfectly fine. And around this 0 point, this is my value of, let me check that. So this will be around close to 7 point, and whatever we have considered earlier, 7.62 and minus 7.62. So this way the hysteresis curve is also working fine for this inverting Schmidt trigger. Okay, so we have come to an end of this lecture. We have started with the analysis of inverting Schmidt trigger circuit, and we have analyzed with numbers. We have seen all the cases, and we have seen various scenarios greater than, I mean, we have seen around 12 such scenarios, and we have also referred to the input output waveforms with respect to time for this Schmidt trigger with numbers. Also, we have seen the hysteresis curve, the memory property of this Schmidt trigger, and lastly, we have verified these values with the help of LT spice simulation. So that's it for today's lecture, and next time we'll go through the detailed derivation of inverting Schmidt trigger. So until then, have a good day and thank you.